The paper trail in Georgia has just hit a dead end. Nathan Wade, the man Fani Willis hired to prosecute Donald Trump, finally took the stand before a Georgia Senate subcommittee. But if the senators were looking for a clear accounting of how public funds were used, they were met with a total insolvency of memory. While Wade testified under oath about his billing and his coordination with the Department of Justice, he repeatedly claimed he could not recall the dates, the names, or the substance of meetings that cost the taxpayers thousands of dollars. As an auditor, when a professional says "I don't know" to their own invoices, we flag that as a systemic failure of accountability. As a CPA, I track billable hour integrity. State Senator Greg Dolezal, who is leading the committee, focused specifically on Wade's invoices. These records indicate contact with the January 6th House Committee and the U.S. Department of Justice. In any corporate audit, if an outside consultant bills for high-level meetings but cannot remember who attended or what was discussed, the Accounts Payable Department would freeze all payments immediately. Wade's inability to reconcile his written invoices with his verbal testimony creates a massive verification gap that suggests these billable events may lack proper documentation. I'm Camilo Machado reporting for Thu News. As a certified public accountant, I deal in evidentiary support. In an audit, if it isn't documented, it didn't happen. Nathan Wade's testimony is a textbook example of professional malpractice in record keeping. He pushed back against the committee, asserting that she led us, I led the team, and we did the work. But in the world of finance and law, doing the work requires a transparent ledger. Today, we are auditing the Nathan Wade invoices, and the numbers simply don't have the memory support required to sustain a public prosecution. A critical audit finding from this hearing was the prearranged agreement. No mention of the romance with Fani Willis. While the romance was the appearance of impropriety that got Willis removed from the case last year, the Senate committee is now focused on the fiscal misconduct. By removing the personal from the ledger, the committee is treating Nathan Wade as a vendor. And as a vendor, his performance is being audited based on his deliverables. When a vendor says no one held her hand but cannot explain why he met with the DOJ, the value for money assessment for Fulton County taxpayers hits zero. To understand the weight of Nathan Wade's testimony, we must look at what happened to the asset he was hired to build: the RICO case against Donald Trump. In November 2025, after the Georgia Court of Appeals removed Willis for an appearance of impropriety, the case was handed to Peter J. Skandalakis. As a CPA, I track asset valuation. Skandalakis performed a stress test on the indictment and found it fundamentally insolvent. He informed the court that the acts alleged were not sufficient to sustain a racketeering case. He didn't just pause the prosecution, he liquidated it. On November 26, 2025, the case was dismissed. This confirms that the millions of dollars paid to Nathan Wade were spent on a defective product that couldn't survive an independent audit. The fallout from this insolvency of memory is now hitting the Fulton County balance sheet. Trump's attorneys and Fani Willis are currently locked in a legal battle over $17 million in attorney fees. In professional accounting, if a project fails due to improper conduct or negligence, the contractor is often liable for the client's losses. Because Wade, the lead contractor, cannot remember the details of his work, he is making it impossible for Willis to prove the prosecution was reasonable. Every "I don't recall" from Wade acts as a debit entry against Willis's defense. If the court rules that the prosecution was a lawfare operation, Fulton County taxpayers are looking at a $17 million write-off to cover Trump's legal bills. Finally, we must audit the political context. Senator Greg Dolezal isn't just an auditor, he is a candidate for lieutenant governor. From a forensic perspective, this subcommittee is a public disclosure event. By forcing Wade to admit, on the record, that he has no recollection of high-stakes DOJ meetings, the committee is documenting a total default of professional standards. This testimony will be the Exhibit A in the upcoming Republican primary, used to show that the Willis administration was a mismanagement of public trust. Wade's assertion that no one held her hand backfires when he can't explain who was in the room when the invoices were generated. The final audit of March 14, 2026 shows a legal team in total information bankruptcy. Nathan Wade's testimony has proved that while the work was done, the documentation is non-existent. The RICO case is dead, the lead prosecutor has been disqualified, and the taxpayers are left holding a potential $17 million bill. As a CPA, my verdict is that the Fani Willis investigation was a sunk cost that yielded zero return on investment for the justice system. The insolvency of memory displayed by Nathan Wade is the final proof that this was never a transparent operation. It was a management failure of historic proportions. But I want to hear from you. Is Nathan Wade's amnesia a professional defense or a cover-up of misconduct? Should Fani Willis be personally liable for the $17 million, or should the taxpayers foot the bill for her impropriety? Let me know in the comments. Your perspective is the only audit that matters when the official memories start to fade. I'm Camilo Machado, certified public accountant for Thu News. Subscribe to stay informed on the financial truth behind the headlines. Stay safe.